I'm going to weave together everyone's energy who's here and everyone who's not here and everyone who's going to watch this in the future. This is what it looks like to wield the energy of pure and pristine love. I'm going to say that to you again. This is what it looks like to wield the energy of pure and pristine love. Can you hear me? Okay, because I'm just going to go. And this is the pace I'm moving. Today, we're moving at Christi pace. Before I start, I want to give a heartfelt apology to Melody and to Ken Kaplan for having to pester me for what the hell is your topic and why aren't you giving it to us? And I want to tell you why. I want to thank you both for your patience, for your willingness to ask again, and for teaching me something that you didn't know you taught me. Lesson 1, I make mistakes. I speak with passion and definitiveness because that's how I live, because I don't have time to waste. That being said, this is my truth. Take what resonates with you and what doesn't, leave it for someone else or for a future time when you're ready to hear something in a completely different way. I want to start off by owning accountability that I made a mistake. My mistake was I couldn't write a topic for today because I did it wrong. I wrote 12. I'm not kidding. I got Melody's email and I sat down and said, what do they need to hear? Let me make sure tomorrow it's the same thing. Next day, what is it? Until I had 12 topics and my poor husband, God bless Pete, who's a saint, was like, are you kidding me? And I stopped and I realized the very thing that I was teaching in every one of my classes was to stop people pleasing and self-sacrifice. Christi, what message do you have to deliver? Think about that a second. It was easy to know what you needed. What was much harder was to stop and ask the question, what's the message that I have to deliver? And then I had to own parts of myself that until that opportunity, I didn't realize I wasn't. And I say that with humility, that no matter how much of our skills and gifts and talent we are able to understand and process in the moment, pure and pristine love is infinite, which means so are your skills and ability and knowledge and talent. Don't get off the elevator. Let me say that again. Don't get off the elevator. I have seen so many people say, I got it. And no offense to anyone, but the biggest thing that you could say to me that pisses me off, and then my husband has to deal with, is this. Christi, you already told me that. I'm a 2-time cancer survivor. 3 weeks ago, I thought the fucker was back. I don't have time to waste. If I take the time to tell you something again, ask me. Christi, I know you said this before, but it's not registering. I don't understand something that you feel the need to say it again. Stop and think about that a second. I value every precious second because I don't have time to waste. The information that I have to share will literally transcend your life if you let it. If you let it. It's not about what I can do. It's about what you can do. I have seen people do amazing things with the knowledge. I have one client, well, I have many, but this guy in particular is coming to me because, the girlfriend's like, oh yeah, you got to go and see her because, you have problems. And he's like, all right, fine. So we're in our sessions and I said to him, the problem deals with this and we have to address it in your history. And I'm walking him through an exercise and he's like, that freaking happened when it's not affecting me today. I said to him, you're living the same damn pattern today. Well, he finally understood. He put everyone's happiness ahead of his own. Every other person mattered before he did. So where was room for him? Where was room for him to say, I matter? Now, here's the connection that people don't make. I'm going to give you my most important formulas. I call them Christi Clarity. Because it is Christi Clarity. You want to be your absolute best self, which is all well and good, as long as you have a formula and a system to do it. Best. My brain is my processing center. When you talk to me, your language tells me your attitude. I don't care what you think your attitude is. I don't care what positive mantras you do or meditations or knowledge or systems you have. Your language tells me where your attitude needs an adjustment because it's not matching what your heart and soul know you deserve. Let me say that again, because your attitude means you're not open to receive the life that your heart and soul are aware you deserve. Which is why our clogs are right here, right in how we express ourselves. And that E in the best represents a few things. It represents your emotion and how you clog your own expression because you don't have room for your feelings to come out your mouth with love. So those distortions in how we express our emotion literally block access to our heart. That S is for your soul. I point down here into your will. Because at the end of the day, when our will is guided by that pure and pristine love of our soul, and that T brings it together for truth. When we are functioning in this direction, right here, where all the pieces are aligned and we don't have clogs in our expression, we do not function anymore from the top down. We function from the bottom up. The wisdom of our soul is connected to the pure love in our hearts. We express it, and our brain has stretched to live with higher level thinking and functioning. If you have been a client of mine, you don't function like anybody else because I trained you not to. So how do you know? You're around people, and excuse me for my cussing, but this is where, like, you know, that part's coming. You're like, what the fuck is going on? Why would someone fill in the blank? Think to do this, take this action, whatever it is. Because right there is the core heart of your most important and precious talent, knowledge, skill, and ability. How do I know? Because you're flipping mad that something else is happening. But how many times do you take that anger and think you got to pull out, you know, the fire extinguisher, and, you know, I need to calm down? I'm not encouraging violence or rage. What I am encouraging is self-awareness that I'm angry, frustrated, feel like I'm going out of my mind because I have awareness that the people around me don't. Own it. Because the moment that you own that is the moment that you start to shift this direction. Well, Christy, what the hell is this direction? You're going to walk into the plant, right? Because you now can plant seeds. And you cannot plant seeds when you're in that place of denial, self-manipulation, and inner turmoil that you have feelings. We're humans. We are intended to have humans. Like the spark said, right? Compassion is missing. Well, it's missing in people who don't understand that it's important to have emotion. Well, think about that. When was the last time you had an emotion that you wanted to just skirt away with? Well, when you start to recognize with Christi clarity, wait a minute, think about what I said to you. I can't express myself because my emotions are stopping me. How valuable is what you're feeling? Now, for most people, when I say that, they feel like I snow globe them, like I took them, shook them upside down, and was like, no, let's let everything settle in a different way. Because it's counterintuitive. We don't understand the inner part of us because it includes our brain, our heart, our emotions, our soul, and all of that is generating energy. Well, when you stop and think about this, so even though I don't want to feel negative, I do. I stop and own it and do some inner exercises to address not just what's that cloud, but what is it blocking access to? Think about that. If your emotion is clogged, it's blocking access to your heart and your soul. So for your ability to function as a human, you literally disconnected parts of your innate wisdom. Now, all of us in this case, for me, this is where we all separate out as individuals, right? On a physical level, we get it, right? We have fingerprints and everything they use, like facial recognition, all these things for security purposes. We accept it in a physical way. We're born to be unique. That doesn't mean that the world accepts it. But we have the concept. So let's pretend for just a minute that all of us here right now could accept I was born physically unique. Physically. And everything that comes with it, because we can't change those things. Well, that also means that your brain processes information in a way that's unique to you and your experiences, which means, notice I'm building a chain reaction, which also means that the way that you live and the way that you think and the way that you generate energy is as unique to you as your physicality. So to me, my job at the end of the day is to get you to understand the shit that's blocking you from inside yourself so that you understand what your skills are, so that I give you permission to come in my crayon box. And I'm not kidding. Nobody gets access to my crayon box without going through the process, because you will hurt yourself and everyone else because you don't understand where and when your emotion is destructive to you first. And what I learned is I have to protect you from you. I wish I was kidding, but that's the hardest part of my job, is literally to protect you from you, because you come to me and tell me terrible things about yourself. And some people who don't have the accountability then think I'm the one that's saying it to them. I'm repeating back to you what you just said to me. This about you. But our view of ourselves is so limited based on our experiences. And the neuroscience piece of it, that as intuitive people, we don't always make this connection, is that our brain started forming in utero. Do you have a clue what you experienced in utero? I mean, could you consciously tell me any of this? No. And then your experiences were based on other people's experiences. No, stop and think about that. The way you were treated was based on somebody else's experiences before you came in. But how many times do you say, why is this happening? Well, because of the chain reaction of things that people aren't connecting. Why were you treated the way you were back then? I'm going to tell you there's 98% chance, 98% chance that your emotional needs were not met the way you needed them the first 7 years of your life. 98% chance. Why? Because humans are not mind readers. You are guaranteed not to get something you need for the simple fact that for the first however many years of your life, you can't speak. Well, think about how that programs your brain. I can't get what I need. My needs won't be met. My needs won't be met. And now, not only do you not realize that your intuitive side is not integrated with your human side, your brain says, this is how to live. I have to protect myself from everyone around me, so I have to isolate. And where and when I feel different, that's where I have to shut down for self-protection. Why do you think you feel angry in those moments that you have the awareness? Because it doesn't click in your brain. And this is the human side of us, the physical side. The brain does not register. Wait a minute. Life's knocking. This is my turn to shine. This is the knowledge I have to share. Because it feels scary to stand out in those moments where everyone else is on board with something different than what you know. Because your knowledge in those moments is so distinctly unique, the same way your fingerprints are, the same way your face is, the same way your energy signature is. But those emotions get clogged, and then we stop, and we don't go that next step. So that client that I was telling you about before, told him, I want you to write these things down. And he was like, I said to him, dude, you're paying me. You are wasting your money. Every time you come, I'm going to have to fire you as a client. And he said, what? She's going to be pissed. I said, I will not continue to take your money if you don't show up at the next session with a notebook. You know, we do things via Zoom. So I said, I can't see there. You got a notebook? Picks it up. And you know what? I started writing things down. I got a pack of 5 and I realized it's making a difference. So I told my friend, here's a book for you. Where are you going to be in 30 days? Make a goal. And my friend was like, what? He says, I called him up later and said, where's that book? And he's like, oh, fuck, I left it. I left it at the office, but I went back and I got it. I have my book now. Did you write anything? Well, not yet. He's like, Christy, it's like I'm being you. And you know what I said to him? I'm training you how to be the love that intervenes in this world. Stop and think about that. Because when you align and work with the understanding that your soul is connected to your heart and your brain has that higher level functioning, you become the love that intervenes in this world. So instead of feeling angry and frustrated and annoyed and all the other battery of negative emotions that are very real because how this world works, you start to ask this question. What am I going to do today? Whose life can I improve? What's that going to look like? And I say this from firsthand experience. When I found out that my test came back and there was something that they found, I was horrified. I had 1 hour. I had 1 hour to deal with the feelings, get an appointment, and be ready for the rest of my day because I was booked solid the rest of the day. 1 hour. Do you know how hard I pushed every client I dealt with that day? Because all I thought is, if I don't get you past where you are, what's my legacy? What's my legacy? I want you to think about that. So when I can move things to fit you in at the last minute, it's because I know you're my legacy. And I want to know that I helped every person that I possibly could become the love that intervenes because you made the choice to be that. But that also means that the more I help you, your energy fuels me, which is why you have to be able to deal with your shit, because I'm feeling it and you don't realize that. That's how connected we are. The only difference between me and someone else is I understand what the shit looks like. So I can tell you, no, there it is. You just have to have the willingness to be able to use the tools and techniques and do something about it, because I can't do that part for you. So if you're thinking, okay, Christi, you said there was more than one formula, don't hold back, give me the other one. This is the second one. How can you tell the difference between what your soul understands and what your brain is processing? Because this is how you can define the difference between your history with all your life experiences that programmed your brain how to think and what to perceive versus the wisdom of your soul. It's very easy. You do it every day. You go online and you put in www. Nope, I forgot one. Oh shit, I still did. The brain always skips one. Damn, gotta work on that. www. And then you fill in something. Well, this is the 3W formula. Each of those W's is literally determining the compass you live your life by. The first W is how you define yourself. Who am I? The way your soul defines you is as an extraordinary individual that's unique and a total masterpiece. How often do you live from that point of view? Well, that's problem number one. I'm not kidding. That's problem number one. Your brain has been conditioned through a lifetime of experiences that it repeats and regurgitates. So every time it gets stuck in those patterns, you are living a life that does not match what you deserve, which is why you say things like, why the fuck is this happening? What do I do to stop this? Well, you have to catch yourself first and build self-awareness that shit. I have very real reasons why I think and feel this. It's based on actual experience. It's not an illusion. It's not a fantasy. It's not fake. We don't think things because it's fun to feel like crap. We think them and we accept them because we believed it was true. We believed it was true. And that's the problem. It wasn't. But you didn't have my voice in there to be like, hey, self, that ain't that. That's a bunch of shit. Stop saying that. That's the BS. No. And here's the hardest part, depending on the environment you grew up in. And I say this judgment free with just an understanding of how humans work and think. If you're in an environment with family, most of the family thinks the same way, has the same behavior patterns, and does the same kind of things. Right. Because that's how human behavior is. Well, when you stop and think about the fact that you were born into an environment with an intuitive knowledge that didn't match that, you were guaranteed to feel different. Forget all the things that they say like are actually different about it as humans. Just think about that simple piece. On an intuitive level, you had understanding that the people around you didn't. Well, how do you survive that? The emotional clocks that cause your soul to be disconnected from your body. So what happens? The more you build your intuitiveness, the more flighty you might feel, the more highs and lows you have, because you're not integrating any of that with your physical self. You're doing a disconnect. You're trying to connect the heart and the soul and go in that direction. Well, my body's over here. So without clearing out those clogs that are generating emotion and energy that literally stop your expression, how are you going to function and belong to each other? You can't. Not that you don't want to, but you know you can't. I mean, let's be honest. We all have those moments where like, I don't understand what's going on here. I mean, we literally say, I don't understand. Right. Because the information that the soul and the heart are having access to does not compute with what the brain learned. But we want to disconnect what we learned instead of using that understanding. This is a time I need to stretch. I just need to stretch my brain here. So let me go to the second W, because the second W is how I define what I deserve. Well, we learn to define what we deserve. We learn, let me say this again. We learn to define what we deserve specifically based on our experiences. But remember how I said no one's a mind reader and how 98% I'm certain you didn't have all your emotional needs met? Well, didn't I deserve it? Absolutely. You could get something that somebody didn't have to give you because number one, they didn't know you needed it, or number two, they didn't have it to give. But it doesn't mean it doesn't define how you live your life today. Stop and think about that. When things go wrong and you're totally stressed out, because that's when the truth shows up. I don't care what you're doing on a good day, that's good. It's the stressed out day that tell you where you really are. When you have to deal in the moments, like you're running late and you left something, that's when you find out, what am I telling myself right now? It's like the truth serum. Because right there, you start to realize, oh my God, look at this place that I went. I'm not telling myself everything's gonna be okay. I'm putting potholes. I'm putting potholes in the road. Oh my God, I just did that. See the accountability? See the awareness and the accountability. You have to have that in order to have the self-authority. You cannot own authority for yourself, for your choices and your decisions and the chain reaction that they're creating without having self-awareness and self-accountability. They go together. They have to go together. It's like getting in a car and not putting the key in the engine and wondering why it's not working. You have to be aware you didn't put the key in. And putting the key in isn't enough if you don't switch the gears, right? That's where you have to take action. Yeah, you're the authority. But that feels scary if you learn to function with your soul on the side. How comfortable does it feel to take action in the direction of what you want if you are functioning with your soul not connected to who you are? Okay, I'm going to throw on the last W. Last W is this: what I'm capable of. Those moments, those dark moments, they all happen for me. Okay, I don't want to stare at you anymore because I feel like I singled you out in my mind and energy. Okay, you know who you are. Okay, so in this case, what I want you to keep in mind is this: what you're capable of is infinite potential. Because what you are as a soul is that infinite, pure, and pristine love. So when you understand that who I am, like I am this infinite being, that means that on a soul level, you have access to infinite knowledge, which is why I said, don't get off the elevator. Because no matter how far you go, it's only when you make those strides do you come against that wall that says, So for those of you who felt like I didn't hit you on the nail, here you go. Hope you're ready for this one. If you've been challenged in this lifetime with asking yourself, why aren't I enough? Here's the thing. You're asking yourself the wrong question. That's your history. How do I know? Because you're not answering this question. Why isn't this enough for me? Well, it's not enough for me because my soul is aware. Not only can I plant seeds, let me see what's over here. Wait a minute. Oh, sorry, I can't see you over there. I can make noise. I can express myself. And all of those expressions is where you get to be the love that intervenes with every single expression. Now, I don't know how I am on time, but energy-wise, that wraps me up. It is about right. Yeah. For real? Okay. Time did not used to be my forte. So because I understand the value of it now, I try to do my best to set better parameters. Okay. Now that I have shared all of this with immense passion and like, you know, that Christi clarity that like just kind of kicks you, switch upside down. Let me take a step back and open the floor for questions, comments, feedback.